Okay, guys, Rob Jam Real Estate Capital. I'm excited to be here. I am in Indianapolis. I was hoping to do this live. I'm hoping to see you guys live. Um, I'm excited to be here. This this time in history with the pandemic and everything. I made I'm humble. I admit when I was wrong. I made a bad call back in March, and I thought everything would go crashing and burning, but it did the opposite. Lending, though, did take a hit first couple of months. April and May, it was very hard to get money, unfortunately, and if you got money, it was very expensive. Um, but everything just did a 180, and I can't believe how strong the markets are, especially in some of the states that allow people to move around and do business. Those markets are going crazy, including Indianapolis. I mean, it's so bad in our Florida market. Um, I got a quote of over 30 days to get an appraisal back for a property, and that's pretty bad. I mean, that means that the market is just going so crazy that they're busy with low rates and these and the investment opportunities out there. We're all just crazy busy here on the lending side, and lending money at rates that wow. I mean, a lot lower. The rental properties are the rates are a lot lower uh, than before COVID. The rehab loans actually were probably slightly higher than it were pre-COVID, but way down from right after the lockdowns in March. The lockdowns in March, I was quoting somebody with a lot of experience at 12%. Now I'm quoting somebody with a lot of experience at 7.75. A lot of experience, good credit, just a regular or light rehab. Um, as far as the rentals, we have a rate as low on a 30-year fixed, no tax returns, a rate as low as 3.875, which is very surprising because, again, with the fact of lockdowns, there are a lot of people though are paying the rent and they're paying their mortgage right now, but we foresee a tidal wave of foreclosures when the music finally stops. And with all the crazy monopoly money that's getting thrown around in Washington, I'm a little nervous about inflation. I really hope that people out there that have rental properties lock in their rates for as long as they could, because I don't know if it's going to be an early 80s type situation where mortgage rates were 15, 16, 17%, but on a regular owner occupied house. But I do foresee rates rising. I don't have a crystal ball. I can't tell you when, but if you have if you have a property out there, you're looking to take cash out or lock in a rate for longer term, I suggest you lock in as soon as you can. Again, I don't have a crystal ball. I don't know when the music's going to stop. There's always going to be opportunity out there in the market. I see when that happens, I see rehabs. I see rehabs though as the choice of investment. Um, a lot of people right now though are doing the BRRRR. If you're going to do the BRRRR, get that rehab done quickly, and I strongly suggest that you lock in a long-term rate. Again, I don't have a crystal ball, but I'm a little nervous, especially especially there are certain states that certain states where not allowed foreclosure. I mean, this is not one of them, obviously, but in my home state of New York, I'd be very afraid to own any rental properties. I would only flip if I were in New York. In Florida, In Florida, I would own excuse me, I would own a long-term property till the cows come home. There are a lot of people moving into states that are quote unquote free to do business and free to move around, like Florida, like Tennessee, like Texas. Indiana is kind of a hybrid right now, but we're still able to get out there and do business. It's just not as probably not as word I'm trying to use, as vibrant or as busy, I should say, as busy as Florida, Tennessee, and Texas. Though Indiana is pretty busy. I get a lot of calls from Indiana, from Indianapolis, from this group actually. I don't really, again, if you're going to ask me, should I do this or should I do that? I will just tell you what I think. You need to do what you need to do. Okay. I apologize for coming on late. I got a technical difficulty here in my room here in Indianapolis. Anyway, I wanted to really open the floor up for questions. I think that people have a lot of questions, that, especially what's going on in the market today. With that, I'd like to open up the floor. Are there any questions out there, Angela?
I don't. Okay, we just had one come in from Tram. Do you work with first-time investors?
We do. We love first-time investors. We have a philosophy of win, win, win. We want everybody to win, and we'd like to make all first-time investors have a great experience with us, and we walk them through the process. We do. A first-time investor, you got to understand, though, is more riskier than obviously somebody with experience. So the rates are higher and the LTVs are lower, but we definitely work with first-time investors. Instead of putting down for an experienced investor on say a rehab, was that person asking about a rehab or a rental? I should ask, actually.
Tram says that she's talking about both.
Both, okay. Well, we do work with both, but the rates on the rentals have nothing to do with experience. It's just basically credit, debt service coverage ratio, which is rent versus mortgage, taxes, and insurance. A rehab is a little more difficult. The rehab, you would, unless you had a score above 720, you're going to have to put down at least 20%, and the rate is going to be between 10 and 12. But we definitely work with first-time investors. Matter of fact, we had a first-time investor. We closed something for them about, I want to say 5 weeks back, about 4 or 5 weeks back. And I would love to help you out. My personal cell, you can ask me personal questions as well. If you don't want to ask it here, it's area code 917-362-0057, 917-362-0057. My office, both in New York and Atlanta, you can reach it at 844 we close. It's 844 we close. Were there any other questions, Angela?
Yes, well, one of the questions was actually to post your contact information, which I am dropping into the chat right now. Can I also share your email address with them as well?
Please share my email address. And I'd like to invite anybody who would love to come out. I'm staying at the Sheridan at Keystone Corners, and anybody want to come pick my brain, I'll buy them a beer if they'd like, or coffee or water or whatever they want.
That is not an offer that you get every day. either.
Well,
So I would definitely encourage people to take him up on that since he is in town. The other question we have is from, let me scroll up a bit, is from Jacob. Do you have mentors that are willing to take on someone with zero experience?
we did have a mentor program, but as of now, we don't. I encourage, Cyria is such a great source for you guys. It's one of my favorite RIAs, by the way. There are a lot of people there that are very experienced that wouldn't mind taking on I'm sure wouldn't mind taking on someone that they can teach. I'm sure that Angela, I'm sure if they contact you guys, yeah, I don't know if you have a special email for that or if they just contact you or Vicky, that maybe you could put it out there. Um, I encourage
Nikki would
people.
be the primary point of contact for that.
Yep. Yes. So when you go to when you actually go to a meeting, unfortunately, with the weather the way it is, the meeting was changed to Zoom. But when you actually go to a meeting, there are plenty of people that you interact with. I encourage people to get there early and talk during the networking session, because you meet a lot of people. A lot of business gets done during networking session. Not only that, a lot of people get introduced to, as somebody who's a newbie will get introduced to somebody with a lot of experience, and I'm sure there'd be a lot of people out there. I've met a lot of good people at Cyria that would love to help and love to mentor you.
Yes, and our topic for our main meeting tonight, which will start in about an hour and a half, is actually coaching programs that is offered by local investors. So, and we're going to be covering sort of the whole gamut from note investing to buy and hold to fix and flip. So definitely stay on for that. Another question from Rebecca is, do you offer any products that loan directly to LLCs?
Well, the answer to Rebecca is we prefer LLCs. Okay, we prefer corporations, because it not only protects them, it makes it easier on the investor. Unfortunate, if it were unfortunate where they would have to take the property. We prefer LLCs. We prefer LLCs or corps or trusts even. It makes everything a lot easier. And you protect yourself. I'm not an attorney and I don't play one on TV, but I actually tell people, not only do you want to put your properties in an LLC, but I would probably have a parent LLC and have each individual property in sub LLCs. Because, I mean, if somebody were to sue you or sue that LLC, they can only get what's inside that LLC. Now, if you have 50 properties inside one LLC, you have a lot of exposure. If you only had one property in an LLC, you have a lot less exposure. I hope that answers your question.
And if anybody has any questions that you think of later or that maybe you don't feel comfortable posing publicly, I put in Rob's phone number and email address into the chat. So definitely feel free to reach out to him directly. Rob, how long are you going to be in town?
Well, unfortunately, I have a morning flight, early morning flight. But I'm up till midnight at least. If anybody wants to come over, text me. You're on your way over, and I'm glad to meet you at the bar downstairs. And we can chat, talk. You can tell me about some of your ideas, and I'd love to go over them with you. I'm open, and if you can't make it, you're welcome to text me, and we can talk about it. Uh, we can talk about your questions, your ideas, your ventures. Um, we can do that.
And we have another question from Mark. Do you have loan minimums?
We have no loan minimums. We don't, but to get the better rates, it would have to be at least a $50,000 total loan. So under $50,000, the rates do get up there, and the closing costs as well. So unless you just have a super duper deal that you can't self finance, try to have the deals at a higher. When I say $50,000, I mean combined. So if you're going to do a rehab and it's going to cost you a purchase of say $40,000, and you have to put down 10%, okay, and the rehab is going to be another say $15,000-$20,000. As long as it adds up to at least $50,000, you're going to get a better deal. If you're let's put it this way: if your first loan, if the first loan, the loan for the purchase, okay, is 50,000 or more, you only pay interest on what you take. If it's under $50,000, then unfortunately the rate is going to be a little higher, and the interest is tacked on immediately. So our loans, all of our loans, I should say, not all of, most of our loans, is I encourage people to take out extra rehab money just in case. Well, we put it on the side because whatever you don't take, we don't charge you for. So if you had a $40,000 rehab, I'm sure all of you guys have seen that show in California. They have this ex-wife and ex-husband. They flip houses, and with every single show, they're surprised by something. Either they're termites, or their wires are bad, or what have you, or something's not up to code, and it costs them money out of nowhere. It's not in their budget. I strongly suggest people pad their budget a little bit. Put a contingency amount in your budget. Again, we won't charge you for money that you don't take. We don't charge you interest on any money you don't take. The biggest mistake you can do is to under budget. If you under budget, okay, and you run out of money and you don't have money, heck, it's gonna be a hard time. I hope you have a rich uncle or rich brother or something, or relative, to help you out, because if you have a loan on something and you don't have, and you don't have enough budgeted, and you don't have the money to cover the hole, it can destroy you. Honestly, I hate to scare people, but it can destroy you. I strongly suggest that people over budget rather than under budget.
And another question is from Edward. What are the points?
Edward, it all depends. It depends. We do have minimum dollar amounts that we need to hit. So it all depends on the loan amount. Also depends on your experience as well. So, but I mean, the more you do and the more experience you have, the cheaper is the loan for you. So the thing is, we do charge points, and we kind of have to, because there are a lot of rehabs that are done in 3 or 4 months. Okay, so you're only paying interest on what you take on the time you take it. Even if you had to pay 12% if you were new at this, and it took you only 4 months to do, you're talking only 4%. So we are in this to make money. So we do charge you. We do have to charge you points and stuff. But again, the more you do, the cheaper it gets.
And another question from Danielle. Do you only qualify the property or the borrower as well?
Well, a combination of both, but Danielle, we can go down to a 600 FICO score on credit. You're going to have money to do this, and I suggest you have at least 6 months principal, interest, taxes, and insurance for it. We do qualify, though, definitely do qualify them. Also the property. I mean, you might ask me for a quote, and I might tell you, it's just like, honestly, you really gonna be hard pressed to make anything on this deal. I might come out and say that to you. Talking about, I know that's not qualifying, but again, we do qualify. If you have, I mean, you can go down to 600 credit again, but if you have a foreclosure or a bankruptcy on your credit less than 4 years, then you wouldn't qualify with us and many other of our investors. However, you can have a partner. Say we recently had a husband and wife partner. The wife's score was in the 5s, and the husband's score was in the 7s. So but they wanted to both be on the deal. So if you're less than, in some cases, less than 50% owner, we won't run your credit, so you wouldn't have to qualify. In that case, the husband had to qualify, and the wife didn't. Or if it wasn't a husband and wife situation, we set it up as far as percentage owned. So if you're less than 49% with most of our investors, but your partner, we wouldn't pull your credit, we'd pull your partner's credit. But if you were the one with the experience, we used your experience and your partner's credit. So there are ways to get around it. The other gentleman was looking for a mentor. That's a perfect way to get started. Also, your rates are a lot cheaper, and I can offer you higher loan to values with a partner that has more experience and better credit.
Okay. Edward had another, I think this is a clarification, $50,000 points, question mark?
$50,000 points. I'm sorry, can you, how many points on $50,000? Is that what she's trying to ask?
Edward,
sorry,
if you could just, hello?
Yeah.
Okay, yes, Edward was clarifying, yes, that is what he's trying to ask. How many points on a $50,000 loan?
$50,000 loan would probably be about 4 points if the total loan was $50,000. Now, if it was $50,000 just for the purchase and say another 50 for the rehab, would probably be about 2.5, 3 points. So, but then again, it's case by case. So if you have something, Ed, I'd be happy to price it out for you.
Yeah, and Marcus had a question. He says, I'm currently on my second BRRRR rehab. I'm rehabbing a single family home I've acquired using seller financing. Are there issues specific to seller financing that I should be aware of once the rehab is complete?
The seller, hopefully it's a good deal. Seller financing is great in my opinion. If you want to take them out, I don't know how much they're charging you, but if you want to take them out, our low rate right now on a 30-year fixed is 3.875. I don't know how long the seller's offering you. Now, it could be, if the seller's offering you a 30-year deal and it's a great rate, then that's awesome. But some of these sellers want to be paid back in a year, 2 years, 3 years. We don't know what the interest rate's going to be then. So
Marcus says that it's 9.5%.
9.5%, and so you'd want to be taken out after you're done with the rehab. So give us a call. We'd be happy to help you. You definitely want to be 9.5%. You don't want to keep for very long.
Okay, and I'm gonna just drop your contact info in the chat again, just in case anybody, just so people don't have to scroll to find it. Any other questions? Any questions that I've missed?
Angela?
All right, we just had one come in from Jacob. Suggestions for brand new untrained people.
Suggestions for brand new untrained people. Okay. Go to the Cyria page, sign up, and attend the meetings. That's my suggestion. I think these RIAs are great. They give you a lot of information. If you're brand new and you're untrained, again, okay, you need as much education as possible. And I think Cyria is a great source for that information. Okay, that's my suggestion to you. If you want to pick my brain on certain situations, I'd be happy to talk to you offline. I do know some experienced people in the Indianapolis area. You're welcome to contact me again, and I might be able to connect you. But again, Cyria is a great source for education. They will, and you should definitely listen in to the Zoom later on with the panel, especially with someone who's untrained and hasn't done anything.
Yes, definitely. That was probably my favorite question of all of them right there. And if you're curious about where to find all of our educational opportunities and meetings and classes and events, if you just head to our website, there should be an events tab, and then you can check out our calendar. And then for some of our, more exciting things, we have dedicated web pages for that. Any other questions, you can always email either myself or Vicky, and we'll get you pointed in the right direction at least.
So guys, thank you so much for your time. Again, if you guys have any private questions you want to ask me offline, please text me at my cell phone, 917-362-0057. And the offer earlier on this call was real. If you guys want to come here and pick my brain, I'm happy to talk to you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your time.